The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a warm, golden glow over the sprawling suburbs. Lily's thoughts wandered to the future. She'd been saving for years, scrimping from summer jobs, birthdays, and holiday gifts. Lily, her stepfather, Greg, called. "Come here for a second. I want to talk to you about something." Greg was seated at the kitchen table, a stack of papers spread out before him. "Sit down, sweetheart. I've been thinking about your future, about all that money you've been saving. It's time to put it to work." Lily's interest peaked. Greg had always been supportive, filling the role of father figure after her biological dad had left years ago. She'd grown to trust him, even admire his business acumen. "What's on your mind, Greg?" Greg slid a glossy brochure across the table. "Real estate," he said with a smile. "This is the way to secure your financial future. You know how the market is these days, property values are going up, and there's a lot of money to be made." Lily picked up the brochure, flipping through the images of a pristine development, complete with manicured lawns and modern homes. "And this particular investment," Greg continued, "is a golden opportunity. I've done my research. The property is in a prime location, and with a little bit of fixing up, it'll flip for a profit in no time. But," he added, lowering his voice to a more conspiratorial tone, "I need your help to get in on this deal." Lily raised an eyebrow. "My help?" Greg nodded, his eyes gleaming. "Your savings. I know you've been smart about putting money aside, and I want to give you a chance to grow it. With your contribution, we can secure the property. And when we sell, you'll be looking at a significant return on your investment. More than enough to cover college and then some." Lily hesitated. This was a big decision. But the thought of multiplying her savings, of stepping into adulthood with a strong financial foundation, was incredibly tempting. "Are you sure this is a good idea, Greg? I mean, I've worked really hard to save that money. I don't want to lose it." Greg leaned forward, his expression serious. "Lily, I would never lead you into something that wasn't a sure thing. You know that. I've got your best interests at heart. This is about securing our family's future, your future. Trust me, it's a smart move." His words were convincing, and Lily felt herself swayed by the promise of success. "Okay," she said finally, setting the brochure down. "I'm in. Let's do it." Greg beamed, reaching across the table to clasp her hand. "You're making the right choice, Lily. I'll take care of everything. Just transfer the funds to this account, and I'll handle the rest." That night, as Lily lay in bed, she couldn't shake a lingering sense of unease. This was the first major financial decision she'd ever made, and it wasn't without its risks. But Greg was family. He wouldn't steer her wrong, would he? A few days later, after the transfer was completed, Greg announced that the deal had gone through. They now owned the property, and renovations would start immediately. Weeks passed, and Greg's updates were sporadic but optimistic. He spoke of contractors, permits, and the booming market. But every time Lily asked to see the property, Greg deflected, claiming it wasn't the right time. It wasn't until one afternoon, when Lily decided to drive by the address herself, that her growing doubts began to crystallize into something more troubling. The neighborhood wasn't what she had expected, it was run down, with overgrown lawns and vacant lots. When she found the property, her heart sank. The house was in disrepair, with boarded-up windows and a foreclosure notice tacked to the front door. Lily's stomach twisted in knots as she read the notice. This couldn't be right. Greg had assured her that the property was a hidden gem, a fixer-upper with potential. But the foreclosure notice suggested otherwise. "Greg, I'm at the property. There's a foreclosure notice on the door. What's going on?" "Lily, I was going to tell you. It's just a minor setback. The previous owners defaulted, but it's nothing we can't handle. I've got a plan." "A plan? You didn't mention anything about foreclosure. How could you not tell me?" Greg sighed, his patience thinning. Lily, you need to trust me. These things happen in real estate. But I'm handling it. We'll come out on top. But as the days went on, Lily's trust began to erode. Greg's reassurances started to sound hollow, and his evasiveness only deepened her suspicions. She decided to do some digging of her own. If Greg was hiding something, she was going to find out what it was. Lily had spent the better part of the evening researching real estate laws, trying to understand the implications of a foreclosure notice. It wasn't just a minor setback, as Greg had claimed. A foreclosure meant the property was in serious financial trouble. "Hey, sweetie," Margaret said, setting the bags down on the counter. "You look deep in thought. Everything okay?" "Mom, I need to ask you something. Did Greg ever mention anything to you about the property we invested in? Like, did he ever say it might be in foreclosure?" "Foreclosure? No, he never mentioned anything like that." "Why would he? That doesn't make any sense. Greg knows what he's doing." "That's what I thought too. But I went by the property, and there's a foreclosure notice on the door. When I asked Greg about it, he said it was just a small problem, but I don't know, Mom. It feels like he's hiding something." "Are you sure you're not overthinking this, sweetheart? Real estate can be complicated. Maybe it's just a paperwork issue. Just be careful, okay? Greg loves us, he wouldn't do anything to hurt you. He's always had our best interests at heart." Later that night, she pulled up the property records online. There it was, in black and white. The foreclosure notice wasn't recent. It had been filed months before Greg had even mentioned the investment to her. The realization hit her like a ton of bricks. Greg had known all along. The next morning, Lily made a decision. She would contact a lawyer, someone who could help her navigate the complexities of the situation. She couldn't do this alone. When the day of the meeting finally arrived, the attorney listened carefully as Lily laid out everything she knew. Rachel's expression grew more serious with each detail. "Lily, it sounds like you're dealing with a very complicated situation. If Greg knew about the foreclosure before you invested, that's a huge red flag. He may have been planning to buy back the property at a lower price, using your money to do it. That's not just unethical, it could be illegal. What can I do?" Lily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "How do I get my money back? It's going to be a tough battle, especially since he's your stepfather. Are you ready for that?" "I'm ready, I have to do this. I can't let him get away with it." Rachel nodded, a hint of admiration in her eyes. "Okay, then. Let's get to work." When she walked through the front door, Greg was sitting at the kitchen reading the newspaper. He looked up and smiled at her. "Hey, kiddo, you're home early. Everything okay?" "Yeah, just finished up some errands. I thought I'd come home and relax for a bit." "Good, good. I was just about to start dinner. How about you join me in the kitchen?" "Sure, I'll help." "Lily, I've been meaning to talk to you about the investment. I know it's been weighing on your mind." Lily's heart skipped a beat. Was he about to come clean? "What about it?" "I know the foreclosure notice was a shock, but I've been working on a plan to fix everything. I didn't want to worry you until I was sure it would work." "What plan?" "I've been in touch with the bank. They're willing to negotiate a deal where we can buy the property back at a lower price. It's not ideal, but it's the best option we have right now." "So you knew about the foreclosure all along?" "Yes, I did. But I didn't want to burden you with the details until I had a solution. I was trying to protect you, Lily." "Protect me? You lied to me, Greg. You made me invest my savings in a property that was already in foreclosure, and now you're telling me you did it to protect me?" "I was trying to secure our future, Lily. This deal could still work out if we play our cards right." "By using my money?" "You used me, Greg. You knew this was a bad investment, and you didn't care about what it would do to me. You only cared about getting what you wanted. You don't understand how these things work, Lily. Sometimes you have to take risks to get ahead. I did what I had to do. I trusted you, Greg. You were supposed to look out for me, not use me for your own gain. How could you do this? Without another word, Lily turned and walked out of the kitchen. Lily, wait. What? I know you're upset, but we can still fix this. We're family. We need to stick together. Family doesn't do this to each other, Greg. You've crossed a line, and I don't know if I can ever forgive you for it. Lily awoke the next morning with a heavy heart. She decided it was time to visit the property herself, to see firsthand what her money had been used for, or rather, what it hadn't been used for. When Lily arrived at the property, she was struck by how dilapidated it looked. The once grand house was in disrepair, with overgrown weeds choking the front yard and a "for sale" sign hanging crookedly by the driveway. The sight filled her with a mix of sadness and anger. As she walked up the driveway, Lily noticed a car parked near the back of the house. It was Greg's car. She quietly approached the side of the house, staying out of sight as she listened for any signs of him. Voices drifted through the open window, and Lily strained to hear. "I've got her right where I want her," Greg was saying. "She has no idea the property's been in foreclosure for months. By the time she figures it out, it'll be too late." A second voice, one Lily didn't recognize, responded with a chuckle. "You really think she won't find out? Women like her, they're not as naive as they seem." Greg scoffed. "Lily's always been too trusting. She believes in family, and I used that to my advantage. She's already signed over the money, and once the bank forecloses, I'll buy it back at a fraction of the price. She'll be left with nothing, and I'll come out on top." Lily's blood ran cold as she listened to the callous way Greg spoke about her. This wasn't just a misunderstanding, this was calculated, deliberate betrayal. He had known all along that the property was in foreclosure, and he had manipulated her into funding his scheme. As the conversation continued, Lily heard the other man ask, "What about your wife? She won't be happy when she finds out you've been playing her daughter like this." Greg laughed, a sound that made Lily's stomach churn. "Darlene won't find out. By the time she does, the money will be long gone, and there won't be anything she can do about it. As far as she's concerned, I'm doing what's best for the family. She'll believe whatever I tell her." Lily drove back home, her mind buzzing with plans. She called Rachel as soon as she got in the door, recounting everything she had overheard. For the next few days, Lily worked tirelessly with Rachel to gather evidence against Greg. One evening, as she was sorting through documents, her mother Darlene knocked on her bedroom door. "Lily, can we talk?" Darlene asked, her voice hesitant. "Sure, Mom. What's on your mind?" "I've been noticing that you've been distant lately. Is everything okay? You know you can talk to me about anything." "Mom, there's something I need to tell you, it's about Greg, and the investment." "What about it?" Lily took a deep breath and told her everything. Darlene's expression shifted from shock to disbelief to anger. "I can't believe this. I trusted him. I thought he was looking out for us, for you. How could he do this? I'm so sorry, Mom. I didn't want to believe it either, but it's true. We have to do something about it. You're right. We're not going to let him get away with this. We'll fight back, together." As the days passed, with Rachel's legal expertise guiding them, they built a solid case that would expose Greg's scheme in its entirety. One evening, Darlene sat at the kitchen table. "Are you sure you want to do this tonight?" "It's time, Lily. I can't keep pretending everything is fine. He needs to know that we're on to him." They waited until Greg entered the house. "Hey, darling, you girls look serious. What's going on?" "Greg, we need to talk. It's about the real estate deal." Is something wrong with the investment? You don't need to worry, I'm handling everything. No, Greg. You're not handling anything. In fact, we know exactly what you've been doing. What are you talking about, Lily? Darlene reached into her purse and pulled out a stack of papers, slapping them down on the table. These are the foreclosure documents for the property you convinced Lily to invest in. We know you knew about the foreclosure long before you got her involved. Darlene, this is a misunderstanding. I was trying to protect our family. The market is unpredictable, and I was making sure we got the best deal possible. By lying to us. Lily shot back. You told me this was a secure investment, Greg. You used my money to buy back a property that was already in foreclosure. You never intended to protect us, you were only thinking about yourself. Listen, Lily, I know you're upset, but this was all part of a bigger plan. Once the property is back in our hands, we can flip it and make a profit. You'll get your money back and then some. No, Greg. We're done with your lies. You manipulated my daughter, took advantage of her trust, and for what? To line your own pockets? You don't understand how the business world works. Sometimes you have to take risks to secure the future. I did what I had to do for this family. No, Greg. You did what you had to do for yourself. You were never looking out for us. Just then, the doorbell rang. Darlene moved to answer it, and moments later, Rachel entered the room, carrying a folder filled with legal documents. Greg, Rachel said, her tone icy. I think you should know that we've contacted the authorities. They're very interested in your fraudulent activities, especially how you manipulated a minor to secure your financial gain. You called the authorities? Yes. And we've provided them with all the evidence they need to investigate you for fraud. You're not getting away with this. Greg's bravado crumbled, and he slumped into a chair, his hands trembling. I never meant for it to go this far. I just wanted to secure our future. You destroyed our future, Greg. You broke our trust. How could you do this to us? Greg couldn't answer. He stared down at the table, the weight of his actions finally crashing down on him. As the reality of his situation sank in, the sound of sirens grew louder outside the house. Lily and Darlene exchanged a final glance, both knowing that their lives would never be the same. But as they watched the authorities take Greg away, they also knew they had done the right thing. The real estate ruse had come to an end, and though the path ahead would be difficult, they were ready to rebuild their lives, this time, without lies and deceit. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more captivating tales. Share your thoughts in the comments below.